Every time one of my videos finds someone, I assume it's because the universe wants us to be art besties. Out of all the videos, all the creators, and all the corners of the internet, somehow you ended up here. That feels a little too specific to be an accident. Either the algorithm had a rare moment of kindness, or the universe looked at both of us and thought, yeah, I think these two would get along. If that's the case, here's what you should know about me. I'll enthusiastically encourage you to make bad art and overcomplicate simple projects. I'll remind you that creativity isn't reserved for people with perfect talent or endless motivation. It's mostly just showing up, making a mess, and occasionally creating something that surprises you. So welcome. Pull up a chair, grab whatever you're currently drawing with, and stay as long as you'd like. Around here, we celebrate weird little ideas, unfinished sketches, and the tiny victories that nobody else notices. People often assume that if you're an artist or a creative, your life must be full of dramatic existential crises and deep emotional turmoil. In reality, my daily battles are considerably less cinematic. Most of the struggles I face include things like trying to drink enough water throughout the day and getting my bangs to lay just right. Sure, I often overthink a drawing or procrastinate on a project, but more often than not, I'm just wandering around the house wondering where I set my coffee down for the third time. It's strangely comforting to realize that adulthood isn't always about conquering enormous obstacles. Sometimes it's just surviving the oddly specific inconveniences that take up an unreasonable amount of mental energy. I tell myself to trust the process, but I know that I will absolutely do no such thing. 5 minutes into a drawing, I'm already zoomed in and questioning the brushstrokes that brought me here. Trust the process sounds wonderful in theory. In practice, I prefer to panic quietly and feel as though I've forgotten how to draw. I am convinced my brushes work better when I speak politely to them. If I gently compliment a brush and tell it we're going to make something nice together, everything seems to go smoothly. The second I get an attitude and blame the brush for my own mistakes, it gets very temperamental. Could it be a coincidence? Maybe, but I'm not that curious in testing that theory. I'm a non-committal artist. I make multiple duplicate layers because it's comforting to have the option to go back. I don't know if I'll ever need layer 27, copy, final 2, but knowing it's there brings me a level of emotional security that therapy cannot provide. I aspire to one day have hobbies like pressing flowers and buying fancy soap. You know, the kind of person who owns linen aprons and has a favorite local tea shop, and somehow always has dried lavender sitting around. Maybe one day I'll become the serene flower pressing version of myself. Until then, I'll settle for successfully naming my files something other than Untitled 43. I like to pretend I live somewhere with creaky wooden floors. Every time I walk through my builder-grade home, I imagine I'm wandering around a cozy 100-year-old cottage carrying books and contemplating poetry. The reality is that my grayish carpet makes approximately zero noise, but that doesn't stop me from walking a little slower to give the rom-com soundtrack a moment to kick in. I imagine mornings spent opening windows, watering expansive, immaculately maintained gardens, and writing thoughtful journal entries with impeccable handwriting. I require time alone simply to recover from normal everyday activities like going to the grocery store, making a phone call, or interacting with more than 3 people. I'm never bothered by canceled plans. Somehow, these tiny tasks leave me feeling like I've just returned from a month-long Arctic expedition. My ideal evening consists of a blanket, a nearby support beverage, wearing clothes so oversized they no longer communicate a body shape. I like being just productive enough to avoid guilt, but with enough alone time that my personality reloads back to 100%. I keep trying to curate the energy of a French chateau despite the overwhelming architectural evidence to the contrary. I keep one lamp on in the living room. The overhead lights stay off indefinitely, unless, of course, I lost something very tiny on the floor. I recently went to California for a very fancy wedding, and now I crave the finer things in life. My body is demanding cucumber water, tiny appetizers, and salad with edible flowers. My standards become so wildly unrealistic, I keep looking at my table wondering when the next course will appear. I say things like, "The venue is stunning." It was a beautiful glimpse into a lifestyle that is unfortunately incompatible with my bank account. This might be irrational, but I think my summer to-do list adds tasks when I'm not looking. I'm almost certain I crossed something off yesterday, yet somehow there are now 6 new things on the list that definitely weren't there before. Water the plants, clean the porch, organize the closet, become the kind of person who enjoys exercise. Every summer, I convince myself this will be the season I finally catch up on everything. I'll finish all of my creative projects, read the stack of books by my bed, learn a new hobby, and become someone who effortlessly hosts backyard dinners with homemade lemonade. But I've decided the real goal isn't finishing the list anyway. It's collecting tiny moments that make the season feel memorable. A sketch in the shade, a trip to the thrift store, eating watermelon over the sink, staying outside until the fireflies come out, and letting myself believe just for a minute that tomorrow I'll definitely get everything done, even if my to-do list has other ideas.